All right, let's get right into it. We're going to tackle one of the toughest situations you can possibly face in a mission-driven organization, and that's a financial crisis. It's one of those moments that just tests everything, right? It creates this huge internal conflict between your commitment to the cause and your need to just be practical. So today, we're going to break down how to navigate this storm with both loyalty and wisdom.
And this is really the question at the heart of it all, isn't it? When things get this tough, are you being loyal by sticking it out? Or are you just kind of being naive about the reality of what's happening? It is such a fine line to walk, and it can be incredibly stressful. So let's try to get some clarity here.
Every crisis is, in its own way, a loyalty test. It's easy to be all in when things are going great, when the money's flowing, but what happens when the storm really, truly hits? This is where you see people's real character come out, both in leadership and, yeah, in ourselves, too.
Now, these signs of the storm, they probably feel pretty familiar to some of you. The stress is so tangible, you can feel it. The bills are piling up, important projects just grind to a halt, maybe your own salary is delayed, and you start hearing those whispers in the hallways. You notice people are getting quiet. Maybe you even see a few leaders quietly polishing up their resumes. It just feels like the ship is taking on water.
And this, right here, this is the core dilemma. It captures it perfectly. On one side, you have to be responsible. You've got to take care of your future, your family. But on the other side, you believe in the mission. You care about your team. And the absolute last thing you want to be is that person who just bails at the first sign of trouble. That tension, that's exactly what we need to figure out. So, how do we move past the panic and start to see things clearly? Well, we have to shift from just feeling the chaos to actually diagnosing the crisis. It's all about understanding what's really happening underneath the surface.
What's really fascinating here is the idea that pressure is like an accelerant. A financial crisis doesn't so much create new problems as it just exposes what was already there, deep down. It shows what truly motivates people. Is it the mission or is it the paycheck? It tests our deepest beliefs about where our security really comes from. And it absolutely puts a spotlight on our true level of loyalty. The source material uses this really powerful biblical metaphor to frame it all. The difference between a true shepherd and what's called a hireling. See, a shepherd's identity is completely tied to the flock. They stay, they protect, especially when danger comes. A hireling, though, they're just there for the paycheck. Their commitment is totally conditional. So when a crisis hits, boom, they are the first ones running for the exit. And this isn't just about leadership, by the way. It's a mindset that anyone in an organization can have. And here it is, the direct source for that metaphor. The wolf, in our case, well, that's the financial crisis. And the question it forces every single one of us to ask is, am I seeing this crisis as my cue to run, or as a moment to stand and protect what I've helped build? Now, this is so, so important. A crucial point of balance. Nobody is suggesting that being loyal means you have to be reckless or irresponsible. Not at all. The call is to trust God and act with wisdom. Making a plan, looking after your family's needs, that is not inherently disloyal. It's the heart behind those actions that really matters. Which brings us right to our next point, because a crisis doesn't just threaten the organization's bank account, it threatens our own hearts. During a long, drawn-out storm, it is just so easy to take a wrong turn internally. You have got to be on the lookout for these traps, both in yourself and in the culture around you. That constant murmuring and complaining that doesn't actually solve anything, creating these narratives where you just blame leadership for everything, or forming those little secret Plan B groups to huddle together and validate each other's exit strategies, and that little voice of self-justification that whispers, hey, you gotta look out for number one. These are all huge warning signs. So here's the bottom line. Having an exit plan is not automatically wrong, but you have to diagnose its origin. Where is it coming from? If your plan is being cooked up in an atmosphere of bitterness, anger, and blame, well, then it's not just a wise backup plan anymore. It's actually an act of disloyalty that's poisoning you from the inside out. Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem. We've identified the traps to avoid. Now for the practical part. A 5-step nap to help you navigate this storm with total integrity. So here are the 5 steps. It all starts with you, with bringing your own fears to God. Then, you get objective clarity on the situation. Next, you actively choose to avoid that culture of complaining. Then you make wise, practical moves. And finally, you settle that ultimate question of who your source of security really is. We're going to break a couple of these down a little more. For step 2, getting clarity, this is an incredibly helpful tool.
Ask yourself, how is leadership responding? Are they being humble and open about it, admitting their mistakes, sharing their recovery plan? Are they tightening their own belts right alongside everyone else? I mean, that is a world away from leadership that's in denial, hiding the facts, refusing to take any responsibility, and offering no clear path forward. Remember, your loyalty is not a blank check for mismanagement.
Step 4 is also really nuanced. Just look at the difference here. Making wise adjustments. Maybe picking up some extra work, cutting back on expenses, that can be done with total honor. It's about communicating openly, saying, I believe in this mission, but I also have to be responsible for my family. That is completely different from the person whose heart has already left the building. They're just physically there, secretly working on their plan B, basically just waiting for the first chance to jump ship.
And this brings us right to that final step, deciding on your source. The source material really emphasizes this core belief. Your ultimate security doesn't come from your employer, whether it's a ministry or a Fortune 500 company. Remembering that simple truth helps you make decisions based on your calling and on wisdom, not just on the fear of lacking something. So after navigating all of this, what does a healthy, balanced, and empowered posture actually look like? It's not about choosing between being a naive loyalist or a cynical survivor. There is a third way. There's a better way. It all starts with this resolution, a decision you make for yourself. You look at the situation with clear eyes. You don't ignore the numbers, you don't ignore the warning signs. But at the same time, you make a conscious choice that fear and self-interest are not going to be the things driving your actions. And this is such a powerful anchor. If you truly believe you are where you are for a reason, for a purpose, then you decide that a financial storm all on its own is not enough to make you abandon your post. It reframes the whole crisis from being a threat into a test of your purpose. And this right here, this just perfectly illustrates that integrated final posture. It combines everything. You engage leadership with honesty, you use wisdom for your own life and responsibilities, and you make a commitment to guard your heart, to be a positive force, not a negative one. You choose to be part of the solution, not part of the chorus of complainers. So ultimately, it all comes down to this choice. A crisis reveals what's already inside of us. And when that storm hits, your actions, your attitude, and your heart will either add more weight to a sinking ship, or you can choose to grab an oar and help steer it toward the shore. The choice is yours.